It's time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
Welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Chapman, and I'm excited because we have been working on this for a while behind the scenes, and this is a great idea brought to us by a listener, actually. And what we're going to start doing is every now and then after we put out a whole bunch of content, we're going to jump in and do a best of Rush podcast. And what this is going to be is my top 10 favorite moments from the last several podcasts that we've had, and we're going to count them down. You're going to hear my wife introduce each clip, which is awesome. She supports the podcast, and she is a very vital member to this team, of which this podcast would have never gotten started without her. So thank you to my lovely wife, Jennifer. But here we go. Enjoy the episode today as we jump back through a lot of the best moments that have happened with the 49ers Rush podcast recently.
Number 10.
As well. And so I want everything that we do today. This is all about Javon Kinlaw. That is what we are working with today. And, you know, the 49ers, it's been really interesting. You know, you trade back one spot from 13 to 14, and you take this guy. And who is Javon Kinlaw exactly? That's what we're going to find out today. We're going to go through background, game film, scheme fit, awards, grades, family, all this stuff. I mean, it's been very well documented exactly what he has brought, what he has come from. Javon Kinlaw, this is an amazing story. I mean, Hollywood couldn't write it any better himself. And so let's just jump right into it. And I want to start off by saying this. You know, I feel like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan talked about him, and we knew right off the bat. John Lynch said that they had 6 players that they were willing to take in the first round, and if not, they were going to trade back. They theoretically got both 2 of their 6, Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Aiyuk. And so the quote that John Lynch, he said this. You know, I was down there. This is a quote from John Lynch. I was down there at the Senior Bowl, and he went and absolutely decimated folks down there. And he's talking about the one-on-ones, because here's the deal with Javon Kinlaw. I think this shows the reason why he was picked and some of the question marks of the fans, because he did go to the Senior Bowl, but he didn't play in the game. Javon Kinlaw couldn't play in the game because his knee started acting up, and they discovered some knee tendonitis in there, and so he never played in the game. We just saw him in the drills in which nobody could block him. He was the best player that was there. There's no question about this. You know, Todd McShay, who you can like him or not like him or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But you look at what, you know, Todd McShay said about him, and he said that it didn't take long. Within the very first day, you knew he was the best player down there in Mobile. The best player. Not the best defensive lineman, not the best defender, not the best the best player. And I think that's the kind of takeaway that you can get with Javon Kinlaw. The highest ceiling imaginable because of his athletic profile, which we'll go through in some player comparisons.
Number 9.
All right, welcome to an episode of not really the 49ers Rush podcast, but let's do some breakdown of our newly acquired Trent Williams. Now, really, really excited about this, guys. And here's the deal. Silverback Gorilla is his name. Big number 71. This was the number 4 overall pick in the first round. And Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator when they drafted him. And you're going to find right away he is a different type of player in Joe Staley, and the fact that he's much more powerful and has much longer arms and is much more violent. Now, he's not as athletic. I think Joe Staley's probably the most athletic offensive lineman. You can make the case in the history of the NFL. Joe Staley ran a 4.6, but then you look at Trent Williams. He ran a 4.81 40. And this is what you're going to see consistently, okay? You watch his feet. He has perfect bend. He plays with great leverage despite being huge. You know, I mean, 6'5", 315, 34-inch arms. But whenever he locks onto people, the game is over. Again, much longer arm height, all those things than Joe Staley. He's got them all. But the way that he uses his arms, and so Joe Staley's going to win with his feet and his speed, whereas, this is Trent Williams. He locks on. He just locks on. They're very unique in the fact that in the run game they're excellent, but the violent factor that Trent Williams brings is much more so. It's just what it is. I mean, if you just look at the raw athleticism, you're talking about the number 4 overall pick, and then Joe Staley, who went later. I think it was pick 28. It's what it is. I don't think Trent's better. I think that they are different.
Number 8.
Aiyuk is one of the most explosive wideouts in an incredibly deep class. That explosiveness has always translated in his route running and after the catch ability at Arizona State. You need a big play threat. Aiyuk is your man. That's all we need, man. That's exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants. Big play, somebody that can take it to the house on a slant. He's shown he can do it. Explosiveness is there, and he can even get creative. Really excited about this pick, and welcome to the 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk. Really excited to continue rooting for him and just become a fan.
Number 7.
Let's get into the film. And there's no way I can go through all my notes here. It's too much. But let's talk through a lot of the things that I hit on. The very first thing that shows up, strength. Strength, explosiveness, and first step. I've gone through 6 pure game films of him, and I saw him get knocked back once in 6 games. It was a double team, and he was tired, and he went too high. So I've seen him get pushed back one time. He lives in the opposing offense's backfield. He is the definition of a penetrating bull rusher. And what we mean by bull rusher, again, plays behind his pads, not under them. Now, he does, as the play develops, as we said, he plays too high. That's a major concern that he's going to have to get coached out of. But his bull rush move is stupid. If he gets a one-on-one matchup, which is very rare, as you guys are seeing in these 2 games, watch out. And he's going to have 4 or 5 plays a game, and it doesn't matter if they're NFL quality guards, centers, whatever. He's punching them in the damn face. And again, the surprised, just you see the contact and you see the guard's head pop up because they just get jolted. He's explosive. Now, weight gets out of his frame. As I said, at 6'5", you can't do that. And because of that, he is on the ground way too often. This North Carolina game, I counted him on the ground 7 times, not like diving for tackles, but like away from the tackle. That's too much. You don't want to be on the ground. That's a negative thing for offense and defensive linemen. And as I watch any O-line or D lineman, I have a separate tally as I go through the film, and it's OTG, on the ground. Every time they fall down, I count 1. Now, if they pancake somebody and go over the top of them, you don't count that. If they dive for a tackle, you don't count that. But whenever they're just getting tangled up and falling to the ground away from the ball, that's a huge negative. All right, guys, support for the 49ers Rush podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. The best in men's below-the-belt grooming, Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family drills. Here's the deal, guys. Manscaped has been with us for a long time, and a big reason why I still have them helping out with the show is this. It's very simple. Whenever they came out with their new product, the Lawnmower 3.0, I bought it and used it, and I was like, let's see if it's just the same thing. It's not, okay? It was great. Now it's the best thing ever. So, reached out to them. We've got this connection going as well, and as soon as we started plugging it, I have reached 5 or 6 different emails and DMs from you guys saying thank you that you bought this, and one, if you do buy this, you get 20% off and free shipping just by using our promo code RushESF, RUSHESF. And so here's the deal. Manscaped, they redesigned everything. The engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, and I believe in it. Again, I had the 2.0 package. I went and got the 3.0 package because it's that much better. There's things that you can go cheap on. There's things that you can skip out on. Whenever I'm messing with down there, it's time to be professional. That's all I got to say. So whenever I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery lasts up to 90 minutes, which I don't know why you would need to do that. It's waterproof. You do the shower. There's no cleanup. There's no cuts. There's no nicks. There's nothing. It is the best product on the market by far. So, just trim it. Thank you. Your junk's going to thank you later. So what you got to do is head to manscaped.com. Use promo code RushESF, RUSHESF, no spaces. Get 20% off, free shipping. And again, once you get this done, I promise you, you're going to be emailing me, just telling me how great of a product it is. So manscaped.com. Thank you for the support of the podcast. Head over there now and make sure you get your product.
Number 6.
Talk about Brandon Aiyuk. Who is this kid? Arizona State, 6 foot, 205-pound kid. And the clearest thing that I could say about him, this is in my draft notes several times before and after we drafted him. I've gone back, done a whole bunch more film, and man, let's just transition to that now as we talk about it. Why y'all looking at my ugly face? So went through, broke down a handful of games for him. Transcribed a couple different game clips, one Oregon State, which I think is his best game film I've gone through so far, and then also we'll talk about Washington State as well. But the Oregon State film that you're watching currently, it's my favorite of him so far. I haven't gone through every single game, but here's the deal. Number one, right off the bat, explosive, raw, runs the full route tree, freak athlete, okay? Negative side, 1 year of production. That's it. Sports hernia issue, sports core injury is what they called it. He had to have surgery for that in April, but so that's the issue. He's only got 1 year of production, kind of came out of nowhere, was on the bench just last year behind N'Keal Harry, who was a first-round pick, so you don't want to slide him too much. But when you're looking at the wide receiver position, there's a couple mainstays that you want whenever you're looking at production at the next level. You know, we'll get into some quotes and all those things, but let's jump in here. Let's talk about who this kid is. Brandon Aiyuk. You say the name, it's Aiyuk for all my Street Fighter fans back in the day. Aiyukin, right? Aiyukin, right? That's how you say it. It's the Aiyuk, just without the id. You could do the Thunderbolt, you know, whatever else, if that helps you. Every time I say the kid's name or even type his name, I want to throw out the whatever that is. But anyway, so Brandon Aiyuk, he's 22 years old, so the age is good despite being a junior college transfer. Okay, he grew up in Reno, Nevada, and he attended Robert McQueen High School. Now, he played wide receiver, defensive back, punt returner, kick returner. That's what he was. He was a first team all Northern Nevada player, honorable mention as a senior.
Number 5.
But a lot of the things that you'll see is just really easy. Just nonchalant plays where he negates, you know, these guys from moving with arm punch and power and size. Yeah, he just extends. And it almost looks routine and easy. This tackle is not going to exist. You know, the 49ers only gave up a 5th rounder in 2020 and a 3rd rounder in 2021. Absolute steal. The Minnesota Vikings were offering more. They were offering a 3rd this year is what all the rumors are saying. And so it's the 49ers got very, very lucky. And Trent Williams, he played his cards right, kind of ripped off the Washington Redskins at the end. But again, you just see positive plays. You don't always have to be a mauler. He understands this is an outside play. We got a wham block. 49ers run the same thing. All he's got to do is just wall off these 2 defenders. So he just puts his paws up there and just waits. And guess what? You're not running through his frame. They call him Silverback for a reason. The dude's a beast. And so he just walls them off. You don't have to always kill the guy, which he will. He's going to kill a lot of people. You know, he's he's dunking about 4 to 5 people into the earth a game. And here you see another one.
Number 4.
First off, Kyle Shanahan said, and I quote, he can play the X, he can play the Z, he can play the F. He's got the speed to go over the top, the quickness to play in the slot, and he's got the toughness to go over the middle. End quote. That is what Kyle Shanahan sees in him. And the more film I watch, He's not wrong. Now, he exclusively played usually on the left wide receiver spot. Sometimes in trips or in doubles, he'd move to the number 2 wide receiver. But the way it works with wide receivers is this. If you can play outside, you can play in the slot just fine almost always. He's a guy that you can move him around. Kyle Shanahan wants versatility, and with him and Debo as your top 2 wide receivers, and that's what he is going to be, maybe not early, but eventually he will be there. He's going to get that shot, just like Pettis got that shot, and he didn't take advantage of it, but Aiyuk will have that shot as well. And if you look at what the 49ers missed, guess what? They have the most starters returning. They're returning 22 out of 24. 22 out of 24 starters. I missed it. 20 out of 22. There we go. Math's hard. At least I'm a teacher. Goodness, that's bad. But the idea is this. They only missed 2 starters, DeForest Buckner and Emmanuel Sanders. You could say Mike Person, I didn't really consider him a starter. He shouldn't have started the Super Bowl anyway. Brunskill should have, but whatever. You missed 2 starters. You used your first 2 picks to replace those starters. Did you give up more capital than the fans wanted? Yes. However, you now have, you're bringing back all these guys, plus 16 players ended the season on injured reserve. Most of those guys are back as well. The 49ers roster is one of the most complete in the NFL, and they address 2 huge needs. Now, people might be upset because they didn't address the players that they wanted. I get it. CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy are crowd favorites and big school guys and big names and all that. I get it. I'm with you, okay? I would prefer CeeDee Lamb completely to Brandon Aiyuk. But they went with him. They chose him. And we as fans, we got to get behind that. And you got to support your team. That negativity crap, I get it. You're allowed to be pissed off as a fan. But people threatening and, we're not them. Faithful then, faithful now.
Number 3.
2 games that I want to talk through. Let's go through Alabama's film first. So again, if you're listening to traditional podcast platforms and you can't see the film, that's okay. You can go back to YouTube if you want to catch these. And again, these don't have any sound or whatever on there. I got these done late last night. Went to bed about 2, woke up just after 5. So I've been crunching some tape. Got a lot more to go. But before the draft started back up in the second day 2, I wanted to get this out. Now the goal is, after this podcast, go back to the grind. I've got a lot of background notes on Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm hoping to get another one of these done today, right before the draft starts at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So I've got about 3 hours to get that done after this. But if you want to see the film, that's what you got to do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, John Chapman. Just type in 40 Hours Rush Podcast. It'll pull up. And of course, Patreon members, they already have this video, and they've got a lot more coming. If you haven't joined Patreon yet, this is the best time. It's $8 a month. Just type in patreon.com. 49ers Rush Podcast, and then, what's it called? Subscribe to the Frank Gore tier. You get everything I have ever done. It unlocks everything. I think there's over 100 videos on there. Anyway, so if you get bored, you want to go through a 49ers film dive, I got you covered. Anyway, background. Let's do this. And as this film goes, you can kind of see how he played. Now, he got way better as the year went on. And, issues that we have, playing shape, that's a problem. His motor is exceptional. The problem is he doesn't have it on all the time. Now, he's 22 years old. He was born October 3rd, 1997. His mother immigrated to the United States, to Washington, D.C. is where she first moved to, from Trinidad and Tobago. So, young immigrant family comes over with his mother and 2 siblings. They live in Washington, D.C., and it's not a pretty story whatsoever. The mother tried, again, with 3 kids, single mom, working construction. She did drywall work, working construction in Washington, D.C., trying to get whatever job she could, and it didn't go well. They eventually moved into a friend's basement, which was actually a move up because they were homeless for a long time before that.
Number 2.
6 catches of 50-plus yards. Just in this year. 4th best in the NCAA. He could take it to the house any single moment. Explosive. 10.9 yards after the catch. 6th best in the country. So you throw him the ball, he's going to get you an extra first down every single time. That's an average. Kyle Shanahan loves yards after the catch. It's the Yak Pack, baby. You got Debo and Kittle already. You're adding this guy to it. There are some guys on the roster that don't get a lot of yards after contact, but if you look at Kyle Shanahan's favorite traits in a wide receiver or anything, generate yards after contact. Jerry Rice invented the damn stat. The 49ers knows what's up. This fits, okay? It just fits. Now,
number 1.
Very, very rare you see him go against one person and not a chip block. Guess what? In the NFL with the 49ers, teams aren't double teaming Kinlaw. I promise you that. He's going to get one-on-one matchups. So really, really excited about that. Also, just talking about maturity, he does have a daughter who's not even 1 year old yet. Her name is Eden Amara. And his quote about becoming a father, it helped me become more mature on and off the field. And I love this quote, especially as a parent. I just want her to have a fun childhood and not worry about things she shouldn't have to be worrying about as a kid. This is who he is. He never has spoken anything about riches or any of that stuff. He said, I just want a house that I could live with a bed, take care of my family. That's it. I don't care about the money. That's not what he's about. And he even went on to say that he has big plans to build homeless shelters with his newfound money. He wants to give back. That's who this guy is. He wants to be a good parent. He wants to provide for his family, and he wants to build homeless shelters. What the hell? How often do we hear stuff like that from a rookie who's 22 years old and just got drafted in the first round? Very, very easy to root for this kid. Just an awesome dude. Now, another favorite quote that I had from him is whenever asked about playing with the 49ers D-line, this is what he said. I'm going to be, quote, I am going to be like a mosquito sucking up all that knowledge from the 49ers D-line. When asked why he wants to play with them, he said, quote, they play the right way, they win, and I just want to be a part of that, end quote. The guy's saying all the right things. And whenever you watch the interviews and you watch him respond, he's not one of those guys that you think is, press conference, going to be putting on a show. No, this dude is the definition of authentic. And if you saw whenever he got drafted, which was really, really cool, once he announced to his family he was picked by the 49ers, his dad was sitting on the couch, rolled on the floor. But his dad's a huge 49ers fan, which I thought was really, really cool as well. All right, guys, just want to remind you of the Countdown Crew. I am trying to find creative ways to give things away to the loyal listeners that show up, episode in, episode out, doesn't matter when it is. So here's the deal, guys. If you haven't participated in this before, here's what you do. When the countdown starts, okay, whether this is on YouTube, HotMic, Periscope, wherever, when the countdown is up, that first 30 seconds before the podcast starts, I need you to start lighting up those comments, okay? And what's going to happen at the end of every month, I'm going to keep track. Whoever gets the most and all those things, I'm going to pick one or two people. I'm going to be giving away T-shirts, 49ers Rush gear, stickers, perhaps even let you jump on the pod, tell people your story, how you became a 49ers fan, something along those lines. But the Countdown Crew is huge. So again, for our live listeners, make sure you hit subscribe and that notification bell wherever it is you listen. And again, that first 30 seconds, that's the Countdown Crew. I need you guys in there. I need you to bring in energy because I feed off that. And I think usually whenever we have shows with a lot of people on early, those are always my favorite podcasts to do. So I need your help. The Countdown Crew, again, get some free stuff. And I'm going to be sending that out to you. For those of you that do listen traditional podcast ways, I understand you don't have a way to do that. But I'm going to try to find some new creative ways to get you guys active in that as well. And again, I got a lot of stuff I got to give away. So help us out there. That is the Countdown Crew. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you guys so much.